Hey, are we live? I hope the microphone's working. Because I'm using my shitty bloody Yeti mic again. But it's got to be better than the computer's mic. I hope you're all enjoying the weather out there. Hang on. That's it, put some lights on. What a beautiful day it's been. It's been like 30 degrees. Summer's finally here. Anyway, 1 minute. I thought I'd get some Smirnoff ices. By the way, look at that shitty can. This is the state of the country now. What happened to the glass bottles? Why do we get shitty little cans now? Anyway. God damn, that's refreshing. I thought I would bring this subject up tonight because I want to hear from you guys. Cars. Have you found over the years, up until this point in time now, is your car costing you a damn sight more than what it used to cost years ago? That's what I want to know. Has your driving style changed? Has your attitude changed to when you were younger and you drove your car to how you drive now? Do you go out as much? Do you go out less? Do you this? Do you that? I don't know. I want to hear. Anyway, I'm going to see who's online. So, fellow detractor, hello. How's it going? Oi, Alan. We checked our registry and you still don't have a license for that stream. No. You'll probably be getting arrested for having alcohol as well soon. Well, you'll be losing social credit points for getting out of bed on the wrong side. You wait, it's coming. Anyway, nice to hear from you. You're number one in the live stream tonight. Number one comment, Mr. Tractor. And number two comment. Don't make us send you another red love letter. Hey, by the way, no, I didn't get a red letter this time. I've got a white letter. They've disguised this one. Shall we read it? They don't give up, do they? They're persistent fuckers, I'll give them that. The old British Broadcasting Company. Your address has been scheduled for a visit by an enforcement lackey, a salesman basically. Then they're calling me dear sir or madam. They don't even know. They don't even know who lives here. You did not respond to our last letter within 10 days we gave you. I didn't ask for 10 fucking days for them to give me, did I? This means we had no option. They've had no option but to they're starting an investigation into my address. They've been investigating me for 3 fucking years and they're still investigating me. They're going round in loops. In the bin is where TV licensing letters go. There's no point responding to them because even if I jump through all the hoops and said, I'm very sorry, I don't want a license because I don't have a TV, blah, 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 they would still send letters out. They would still send them out. So, fuck them. And hello, Vivian. How are you? Good evening. Hope you're enjoying it. Yes, I am enjoying the nice weather. It's lovely. It's not quite hot enough yet. Roll on next car meet. By the way, I would say, if anybody wants to join me on the screen, just drop your email address in the comments, okay? And I'll throw you a link. So if anyone wants to come up here and put your 2 pennies worth in, feel free. Anyway, good evening, Vivian. Hope you're doing well. Stephen, hello. Just waiting for you to start. We'll probably never get there. Do you know something? Years and years ago, when I was young, my first car cost me £25. Now I understand that back then, it must have been the 1980s. It must have been. I purchased a Vauxhall Viva HB for £25. I never insured it. I just drove it around with no insurance. But that was my first car. My second car cost me about £300. That was a Morris Marina. But, you know, even though wages were cheap, well, you know, you didn't get much in the way of wages back then if you were someone like me just doing a mechanic's job. Unless you owned your own business or you were doing well and had lots of money, it wouldn't have been a problem. But for a lot of us, we were just doing an ordinary day job. You didn't have much money. Even if you wanted to buy a house back then, even if a house was something like £30,000 to buy a house, it still seemed like a bloody mountain to climb to buy that house because your wages were low. And you look at today, I think today is a lot worse, to be honest with you. I know money hasn't changed that much as our wages have grown over the years. It's kind of like the prices have gone up pretty much in line until the last 5 or 6 years, I'd say, when house prices have completely gone through the bloody roof. They've become sort of like, a lot of people can't afford to buy a house now. It's becoming impossible. They're just too much money. But if you like stick to cars, look at cars at the moment. If you want a second-hand car, it's hard to get one at a decent price or a cheap price, unless there's a whole lot bloody wrong with it. But generally speaking, years ago, you could go and buy a cheap car. You could run down to the general insurance agency. You could insure yourself for a week if you wanted to, or even a day. You know, and insurance for a car was pretty cheap. You know, I used to insure my car for sort of like, if I couldn't afford it, I'd insure it for a couple of weeks at a time when I could insure it. And I'd always do it like on a monthly basis. I wouldn't ever pay for a year's insurance because I could never afford a full year's insurance. But obviously, I mean, like these days, it's obviously cheaper to buy a year's insurance. But, you know, when you've got a low amount of money, you can't really do that. But these days, if you're a youngster and you buy a car, say you buy, I don't know, a Vauxhall Corsa, it's probably going to cost you, if you've just passed your test, I dread to think what the insurance is going to be. It's going to be way over £1,000, and that's probably for a one litre basic model, I should think. Obviously, as you get older, if you get no claims bonus for what that's worth anymore, it's obviously going to come down a bit. But bloody hell. Anyway, let me just crack off a few of these comments. Hello, Paul. How are you doing? Good to hear from you. Finn, hello, in the Isle of Ireland. And looking forward to the live stream. Yeah, I'm back for a little while at least. Oh, I thought I'd put a live stream tonight because it's sort of like getting really bored. I haven't put no videos out lately. I haven't even done anything at work that's worth putting out. It's all like the same stuff I'm doing all the time. It's getting a bit monotonous. Second-hand cars are gone so expensive here in Ireland, up to £2,000 for a 2005 and upwards for bangers. Yeah, this was my big gripe. My Mercedes van. Now I bought that van in 2006. I think I bought that van. I had that van for 16 bloody years. It fell apart in the end. I had to get rid of it, but it cost me just over £8,000 when I bought that. And 16 years later, when the scrapman got hold of it, I thought, right, let me check on eBay and here and there to sit on the internet to see what another van, a similar van, would cost, but a newer version, you know. And I couldn't find one. I couldn't find it. It was ridiculous money. And I found in 2000 and like a couple of years back, in 2021, I think it was, when I got rid of my van, I looked at the flipping internet, and it was the same. The same van I bought 16 years ago was still the same price today. I could pay £8,000 or more for an 05 plate, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? I'm not going to pay £8,000 for a 2005 van with over 200,000 miles on it. That's how bad it has got to actually buy a vehicle. This is the problem. Ever since COVID, everything has gone like this. The price of everything has gone through the roof. And we're called bloody conspiracy theorists. Paul, yes, I agree, the cars are getting out of control regarding the pricing. Yeah, this is it. What if? I mean, a lot of us, you need a car. You actually need a car to get to work. If you haven't got a car, getting to work or doing what you've got to do in your daily business could be a right problem. I mean, if you're like say you're a taxi driver and you own your own car, you can understand that because that car's earning you money. It's your livelihood. But if you just own a private car just to get you about and get your family about, and you suddenly realise that, well, the insurance is getting more expensive every year, even though I've not put no claims in, I don't know, is the insurance getting more expensive every year? I kind of guess it probably is. The price of fuel doesn't ever seem to come down a great deal, does it? It goes up a lot and maybe comes down a little bit. You've got road tax, which is always going to keep going up. And then you're being pushed towards electric cars. You're being told petrol and diesel is bad. Electric is good. Even though electric cars cost more and pollute the atmosphere bloody more than petrol cars in the long run, when it's all worked out. So does it cost you more? Is a car actually becoming to the point now where it's becoming a burden? It's becoming like at the end of every month, when you add up, I mean, surely a lot of you must sit down and you must sort of like go through a whole list of utility bills and what you pay out each month for everything to keep yourself going, your household bills and all, everything. And when you add up how much you spend on your car per month, including like the fuel you have to put in it for the journeys you do, and you kind of think to yourself, freaking hell, how can I economise on this? I used to go out with the girlfriend every evening. We used to go driving around all over the place, you know, didn't bother about fuel because fuel was cheap. These days, for many years now, since I've been driving, I'll go to work and I'll come home. And the only time I'll probably go out is if I have to specifically go somewhere or I go shopping. I don't even bother going for drives anymore, just pleasure drives. You know, some nights you'll probably say to yourself, hey, let's just piss off to the coast. You know, it was so easy years ago, but nowadays you think twice about it. How much is that going to cost me? Do you think like that? Anyway, I want to know. Hello, Steve. How are you doing? It's Saturday evening again. It should be a Wednesday, but it's Saturday. But does anybody want to come up on the screen and tell me your story? Put your emails in the bloody comments, and I'll give you a link. If anyone wants to, feel free. Paul and Fiona Travels, good evening, everybody. Hello, Sam, how's it going? I'm doing well. I like it when the sun's out. I'm always happy when it's sun shining. When it's raining, miserable and cold in this country, I hate it. I think the summer is a bit overdue, but at least it's here now, and tomorrow's going to be just as good. As for the topic, the answer is yes. Prices were already high, but have gotten insane since Rona hit. Can't really get a decent car under 30k new. Used market is even worse off. Well, this is the problem. If you want to buy, well, if you want to buy a new car, well, who buys a new car? Does anybody buy a new car? Unless you...
Well, hello.
Right.
Great. Having a lovely time. This heat is absolutely insane.
See, he's enjoying the heat. Yeah, where was I? You flung me off. Yeah, who buys a new car? Who can afford to buy a brand new car? I don't think people go and buy new cars anymore unless you've got a lot of money. Unless you're one of those people that can afford to just go and buy an electric car, because they do cost a lot of money. But don't most people lease cars these days? Everyone's being pushed to leasing a car. So you don't own it, you know, you just keep paying and then you can upgrade. You know, Ford used to do this sort of thing. I think they still do it. It means you can upgrade your car every few years. So you've got the latest registration plate. So you can show off to the neighbours, I've got a new car. You don't own it, but what the hell does it matter? And I think it works out. Well, I've tried to work this out before. If you were to get a bank loan and buy a car, as opposed to leasing a car, by the time 5 years have elapsed, you've paid your bank loan off and you own that car. But there might be a high chance that that car is depreciated so much it ain't really worth next to nothing anyway now. Whereas if you leased it, you've got nothing. So you might just be a little bit better off buying it, but you've still got an old car that probably ain't worth much. That's always been my experience, unless you've kept it very well, or it's some kind of special car and it's still worth a lot of money. But well, saying that, at the moment, the price of second-hand cars are doing pretty well. So you may be well to actually own your own car rather than lease. I've never agreed with leasing. I thought leases were always for companies, and you know, who didn't want the hassle of actually owning the cars. They'd have a lease plan so they could get the maintenance all done, mixed in with it. What do you think? I've never leased a car myself. I've always bought a car. Bought 3 refurbished cars since 2020, and they came with a 1 year, 62.5k warranty. Sold them after the warranty expired, and each time I got more than what I paid. It was really surreal. Yeah, because we're in like unprecedented times at the minute, aren't we? People are being told to hang on to your old cars. It's probably a lot more economical. Obviously, if you've got lots of money and money's not an issue to you, you can do what the hell you like, can't you? But I guess for the majority of us, we have to think carefully about what we purchase. It's making the right decision. There are obviously people that are going to go out and they're going to get the car of their dreams. They're going to see a flashy BMW or something and they're going to say, I'm going to get that anyway. I don't care if it bankrupts me. I'll just get it because I want it. And then if they can't afford to pay for it afterwards or maintain it, what the hell? It doesn't matter. They still want to get that car straight away. So they don't think about a few years down the line when that car needs some maintenance doing to it. Oh, that Smirnoff is nice. It'd be nicer if it was in a bottle. Lucky you're still a bit cold here in Livingston. Oh, blimey, well, you're way up north, aren't you? Yeah. I've never been to Scotland. Maybe one day. It must feel like you're back in the Philippines. Almost. The only problem here, it's boring with a capital B. There's no coconut trees. It's not the same. The scenery isn't here. It's just pretty cut lawns and bullshit and nothing happens. It's like, do you know what? It's like a graveyard here. That's what it feels like. People come to Huntingdon to die. So I'm getting the hell out as soon as I can. Now, Sam, my car is costing me less apart from the AC is not working. Well, that's why. That's obviously why, Sam. If the AC was working, you can put another £40 a trip on your on your fuel bill. No, you actually want to get that working, don't you? Do you know how many taxi drivers we're getting moaning that the AC isn't working? They can't work without AC. I don't know how they managed to do it before AC was a thing on cars, but they obviously can't do it today. Okay, oh, so AC's got to work, but they can blame it on global warming. They can blame it on the climate crisis. Anyway, I'm going on a rant now. Certainly less due to the cost of fuel. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of us just do not get in our cars as much as we used to. Whereas you wouldn't think twice, you'd just jump in your car and you'd just go out for a drive, take the missus out, just do anything, you know. Now you probably stay at home, or unless it's just the fact that as you get older, you just don't go out as much anyway. So you could put it on that. Hello, David. Got a Onixo clutch gone. Oh, nice. Well, that's a dirty job. Do you know the amount of clutches I've done in my lifetime? I don't like doing clutch. I've done a lot of clutches, but I don't like doing them still. Especially the ones where someone has driven it to the point where the centre plate is completely broke up and all the asbestos and crap is just like a mesh and it all falls out. When you pull the gearbox away from the engine, it all falls out all over and you're covered in shit and it freaking stinks and bloody burnt whatever it is that makes it. I don't know. Yeah, horrible. It's almost as bad as getting gearbox all spilled all down your bloody clothes. Hi Alan, hope you're good. And the price of Mondeo parts now is extremely expensive. It's funny, you know, because the price of parts have gone up a lot, but as I noticed on Ford, they come up and they go down, and it's bizarre. I really can't understand their structure, how they price this stuff. But I know that a rear suspension arm for a Mondeo, they used to be about 350 quid. They're now £450. They've gone up £100 just for a back suspension arm. And all you want to really change is the bush, which you can't buy by itself. Jamie's Mondeo, hello. Happy Saturday night. Do you know how to take a fuel pump off a Mondeo ST220? I was struggling to get it off through. Just thought I would ask you since you were the man. Well, from what I can remember with Mark III Mondeos, you pull the back seat up, you'll see a hole there where the fuel pump is. Unfortunately, the hole in the floor isn't big enough. You see, so even if you've undone the fuel pump, you can't get the fuel pump out because it won't fit through the hole. I know it's a bit naughty, but what I used to do, I'd get some tin snips and you would actually cut that hole and make it bigger. Make yourself a bigger hole, if you know what I mean. Then you can get the fuel pump out, no problem. And let's face it, when you put your back seat down, you're not going to see the hole anyway, so what the hell does it matter? I mean, failing that, if you don't want to cut the hole bigger, you're going to have to drop the tank out from the bottom, and that's going to be a pain in the ass. And believe me, it's so much easier taking it out from the top. So if I was you, get yourself a pair of tin snips and just cut it. Years ago, I remember my dad saying that petrol would soon be 50 pence a gallon. Flipping heck. I wish it was. Jesus Christ. Hara. Hello, how are you doing? It's a lovely Saturday evening. Hope you haven't all got sunstroke. What's going on with the new taxi vehicles? I don't think there's going to be any new taxi vehicles. The boss wants to sell the company off. He wants rid of it. He doesn't want the hassle no more. So if it all goes through and he sells it off, then if he does manage to sell it, then that's the end of it. There won't be no taxis. But if he can't get rid of it, if he can't sell the business, then he'll probably just keep it going. And we'll probably just keep them Mondeos going for as long as possible until they have to change them. It's a bit of a catch-22 situation at the minute. So it's trying to keep the cars alive, which is easier said than done. It involves spending a lot of money on them to keep them running, really. The more mileage they're putting on, the more is going wrong with them. And the more problems we're getting that are sort of like, you know, the kind of problems that you have to scratch your head over. They're new problems. And a lot of DPF problems as well. The DPFs on these like Mark V's, I'm telling you that they sort of like when they get around the 250 to 300,000 mile mark, you're getting DPF issues, big DPF issues, and it's expensive. My first car cost me £60. Mark IV Cortina, black vinyl roof, metallic green with a nice hole in the floor. I just covered it up with a few mats. That's it. That's the spirit. That reminds me of my Renault 9. Whenever that rained, it dripped on my foot. It come through the bloody dash somewhere and dripped onto my feet. That was great. I had a 1987 Sierra Cosworth in white, 7K when I was 20. Wish I'd kept it. Yes, that would be worth a small fortune today. Have I missed someone? No. The thing that has changed the most for me since the advent of the modern car is that I can't repair my car myself anymore. Too much electronics involved and proprietary tools needed. Well, a lot of car manufacturers are going that way, aren't they? They're using special nuts and bolts and God only knows what. So the average Saturday mechanic are a little bit out of their depth. You know, when I started, I was on points and condensers. Although electronic ignition was in, there was still a lot of cars going around in points and condenser, and they were so much easier. There were still Morris Minors going around on a daily basis, cars like that, Marinas and Cortinas, and the Mark I Sierras and all that, Escorts, and a lot of the cars had like I say, points and condenser, you needed a strobe light to do your ignition timing. If anything went wrong with these cars electrically, it probably wasn't bloody much. It's normally either an ignition coil, a spark plug, or a rotor arm, or something like that. Nowadays, it costs you a bloody fortune. You take your car to a garage, if you've got an engine management light on, say your car's failed the MOT on the engine management light being on, and it will probably cost you, I don't even know how much a garage would charge you to put a diagnostic machine on to tell you what code is in your ECU, but that ain't going to be cheap. That's before they even think about fixing it. The actual repairs of cars are sort of like skyrocketed. A lot of people are just being ripped off for no good reason nowadays. Skoda Superb as a taxi, alternative to Mondeo's Peugeot 508 or Citroen C5. Yeah, I would avoid the Citroens, to be honest with you. I think Peugeots are bad enough, but bloody Citroens for electronics, that can be a headache if they go wrong. Big headache. The best alternatives. Had to top up the coolant for the first time since I got the Mondeo. 1 litre. That probably won't be the first time. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to get another one. Oh. At Harrow, I had a 2017, it needed almost 9k in repairs done, luckily still under warranty, and then the automatic transmission started slipping at not even 125k. Yeah, well, I won't even go into automatic transmissions. That's a whole new world of despair. You can buy a new car for what it will cost you to repair your automatic gearbox. Hello, Phil. Rear light on Mondeo, Mark 4.5, outer light gone, and brake light replaced. Brake came back, but not tail light. It's LED type. Well, unless you've got another faulty unit you put in there. Failing that, you've probably got a broken wire. Then Mark 4.5 Mondeos, they were prone to broken wires in places, and also all your lights, they run through the body control module. And I've had them before where I had one instance. I mean, some of them I've had the centre brake light in the boot or tailgate stops working, and that's the body control module. And I've had a reversing lights not working, and that was down to the body control module. We had to get a second-hand body control module, and then you have to have it programmed in at the Ford dealer because it's coded to the car before you can have it working again. And that that was quite expensive. It was about, I don't know, I can't remember now. It must have been 50, 60 quid for a second-hand unit. Then it's going to cost you the best part of £100 for the Ford dealers to program it in. So, yeah, this is the problem. You don't have wires going from your headlight switch down to the tail lights anymore. They go through a body control module. And generally speaking, unless you've got a broken wire somewhere, that will be your problem. Land Rover Phil, hello. You're a Ford legend. Love you. Oh, thank you very much. I wouldn't know what I'm doing on Land Rovers though. I've had a few in. I do like the old Land Rovers, like the 110 counties and stuff like that. They were good fun. Bartos, good to see you again. Thank you, Bartos. Hello, Mondo. How's you? How's your belly for spots? It's okay. I haven't got nothing. There's no mosquitoes here. They haven't got me. Not yet. Russell Barker. Hello. Hand pink waving. What's Chand pink waving? Is Thailand calling? No, it's not Thailand. It's the Philippines. Thailand is actually a completely different place. I know it obviously is a different place, different country, but it's a different people and it's a different culture. When are you selling up and moving? Well, I'm not selling up. I'm keeping my house. I'm moving, but I'm keeping my house. So I predict probably around about, it's going to be probably the end of October if I can get everything worked out and sorted out. I will go at the end of October, then I will skip the winter and I will have my winter months in a tropical paradise. That will suit me very nicely. And I'll see how it goes. I'm sure it'll be fine. Brian, hello. Not car related, just got to say thanks for the excellent drone footage. Your holiday in the Philippines, you really managed to convey the beauty of the country. Well, thank you very much. I didn't actually use the drone as much as I should have done, because out there, believe it or not, you can fly a drone pretty much wherever you like, and you haven't got no counsellors or officials or God knows who telling you you can't do that. You can just fly your drone. Nobody cares. So, but I didn't. I should have got some more footage when I was out there, but I will do when I go out there again. It's just that we were moving about a lot, and then, it's having the time to actually stop and do stuff. Whereas, because I was only there for a certain amount of time, but next time round, when I've got all the time in the world, then I can just go out and do whatever and spend. Because as you know, it takes time to go somewhere, decide what you're going to do, get the bloody thing in the air, and decide what you're going to shoot at the time and everything. It's all time consuming. So I'll be doing more of that in the future. My bloody drone, it kind of, most of the time it just sits in my room doing nothing. I need to get some use out of it before I actually crash it. Anyway, thank you, Brian. Simon Elsie, hello. Even second-hand cars seem to be on a lease base. They probably are. I've never seen the price. Do you know, I laugh, but where I work, I always thought to myself, well, the price of the cars on this sales lot are pretty pricey. And but people used to buy them anyway, but they were getting a year's warranty with them. But now I look at the prices of them and I think they're flipping cheap compared to a lot of other cars that are for sale now, and they've got a year's warranty on them. Well, 6 months now. But yeah, it's insane how second-hand cars, even like piles of crap that have got lots wrong with them, they're still selling for a lot of money. That you'd have, 5 years, a few years ago, you'd have never paid that money for them. And then you've got to keep them running, you've got to get them through MOTs. It becomes very expensive. This is the problem. Then you've got the price of fuel, the price of insurance, road tax. Bloody hell. It used to be so easy years ago. You could just buy an old banger. It wasn't much to maintain an old car. You had a simple car, Cortina or something like that. It wasn't too much. You could probably get your mate round to do your void bushes or something like that, put some tyres on it, get your brakes done. You'd have a cheap car for a year. You could run it around, go to the fuel station. Petrol was cheap. Insurance was pretty cheap. It was only in the 1990s insurance started going up when you had a lot of car thefts. And then the insurance companies, somebody sort of like discovered that they could charge people who have just passed their test, because there were more and more cars on the road. There's more accidents, so there's more claims going in. So the insurance prices are constantly going up, especially for people who have just passed their test. I bought my Mondeo 1 year old with 2 years warranty remaining after it had lost a lot of value being driven off. Well, that's the problem. The moment you drive a brand spanking new car, I know it's nice, it must be lovely to own a brand spanking new car, but the moment you drive it off the forecourt, it then becomes a used car. And it's lost a lot of its value. But then again, it depends how you look at it. If you bought that car that's going to last you indefinitely for many, many years to come, then I guess it doesn't really matter. But a lot of people will buy a brand new car, or they'll get a brand new car for 2-3 years, then they'll get rid of it and get another one. So I don't think, unless you're sort of like made of money, it doesn't pay to buy a brand new car. Because you're just going to lose too much on it in the first few years. That's why I reckon if you're going to buy a newish car, you're probably best buying a car that's probably just about 3 years old. The most of the depreciation has come off it. You can probably get a decent price on it. I don't know whether you can at the minute, the cost of cars as they go now, because everything's expensive. But that's the way it is now, isn't it? I'm checking out today's cars because I will own one in 10 years time. That's what a lot of people were saying about houses. They're probably saying, oh, I'll live with my parents till I'm 60, then I'll be able to get the deposit down. It's bad. I feel sorry for a lot of people. You know, when I was younger, I can remember in 1995, say, you could go out and you could buy a house for 40 to 50,000 £. You know, a 2 or 3 bedroom house. You can't do that now. Even a freaking shithole would cost you best part of 200 grand. Or, you know, well, obviously not. It depends on the area you're living in, but I'm talking about a decent house, not something that's been smashed up or boarded up or God knows what. I'm not talking about one of these like little towns where they got loaded boarded up houses because no one wants to bloody live there. But you know, just your general housing. You take an ex council house here in Huntingdon. There's like big council estates. They were built up in the 1960s. Okay, they weren't very well insulated. They all had fireplaces. They never had central heating or anything like that. If anyone wanted central heating and a boiler fitted and all that, they'd have to have it installed. But these houses, they were dirt cheap. They, you know, if you were a council tenant, you could buy them. If you'd have been a council tenant for so many years, you could buy them dirt cheap, easily. If you want to buy one of them houses now, it's going to cost you probably the minimum of 150 grand plus. And that's probably a 2 bedroom. And you're not buying much because they never were built very well. And a lot of them have got cracks all over them now. You need a bloody good surveyor, but some people, they're so desperate to get a house, they'll take whatever they can get. Hello, Mick. I paid £700 for an 05 Vito van, had it 4 years, owes me nothing. That's good going. £700, flipping heck. That's well cheap. Why is your microphone taking a dump? I don't know. What do you mean it's taking a dump? Hello? Can you hear me? I did test it. One minute. I've just removed the USB and I put it in a different socket. So, mind you saying that, there's a little red light on the front that was flashing. So maybe there's something wrong with it, I don't know. I'm hoping it's okay now. I'll tell you what I can do. If I go into audio, I can see the little the dots moving, so I know it's working. So yeah, I'm sure it's still working. Maybe it's getting tired of my voice listening to me, so it's gone to sleep. I've just had to wake it up again. Could be the internet connection, heat wave. It could be this computer, because this computer just takes a shit whenever it feels like. The internet just goes on it. The fan just comes on full blast, and I have to reboot the bloody thing. I'm doing the IAM advanced driving course, and it has got a good side effect of using less fuel. I guess they do teach you that, don't they? They teach you how to drive strategically, should I say. I'm sure that will have its benefits. Good for you, Sam. Electric and hybrid cars are the new micras on the motorway doing 50 to 56 miles per hour, tailgating trucks. Getting in the slipstream. I used to do that on a moped. Try and get a lorry to pull me along faster. Charles, hello. Pricing structure. Think of a number and add at least one naught. They call this Rip Off Britain. I'm going to say it again. How bad things have gotten in this bloody country. You can't even drop somebody off at the bloody airport without getting charged for it now. Stansted or Luton or Heathrow, the drop-off points. You can pull up, you can sling your passenger out the car and drive off, and you'll be charged for it. £7.50 at Stansted. You can't get out at the end of the road. It's blocked off with barriers. You've got to put your card up. Here you go. Here's my plastic. Got a question. Ever since they changed the radiator on my Mark V Mondeo, I'm smelling coolant on the outside of the car after it gets hot. Nothing looks wet and fluid levels are stable. We might have some residue because the antifreeze does smell. If it gets hot, it will probably smell even more for a while. If there's any antifreeze residue lying around the area. So I'll just keep an eye on it. As long as the level hasn't dropped, then I won't worry too much. Normally, if you can smell the coolant, it's a sign that there is a leak. So I'll just keep a good eye on it. Michael, gearbox oil smell reminds me of days trawling around breakers for parts. They always stunk of the stuff. I preferred them days when you could actually go into a breaker's yard and just walk around and take stuff off yourself. I loved them times. They're brilliant. What I didn't love was when I was working and you're lifting a gearbox out with your mate, because there's two of you, and he tips the gearbox your way and you haven't put a bloody piece of rag in the diff hole, and it all gearbox all comes all over you. even after you've washed your clothes, they still smell of gearbox. So that is one smell you just cannot get rid of in a hurry. Can anybody remember the choice of petrol, 2, 3 or 4 star before unleaded came on scene? 1987. Well, it was 4 star, wasn't it? It was 4 star petrol. I know 2 star was for mopeds and that you would mix the oil with. I don't ever remember 3 star. I remember 4 star. There was 4 star petrol. That's the leaded petrol, wasn't it? Then you had then when the, like, I don't know, what was it? Sierras. When did the bloody, I can't even remember when the unleaded came in. And they started burning out valves, didn't it? Because the valves didn't have hardened valve seats. Unleaded petrol caused a lot of problems. They told you had to, I think, retard your ignition timing, turn your distributor around a little bit to a certain different degree. And then your car ran as flat as a fart, didn't it? Because the cars were never meant to run unleaded. Sean, hello in Norfolk Road. How are you doing? Have a drink, mate. Ah, I am pissed off about that, you know. I prefer a bottle. Even if it was a Coca-Cola, I would want to drink it out of a bottle, a glass bottle, not a shitty tin can or a plastic bottle, a proper glass bottle. Toyota have just released a new electric taxi, have they? I thought Toyotas were, I keep hearing that Toyotas are not going down the electric route. Styletti, Londoni, just DPF delete. You're not supposed to talk about that. Moving on. 087 male. Just started doing a wet belt on 2022 Mondeo diesel. A what? Told the customer it won't be ready till Tuesday. A wet belt on a 2022 Mondeo diesel. Are you sure? What engine's that got in it? Because I didn't know they'd done wet belts, and this is one of them Eco Blue belts. Is that what it is, an Eco Blue? Because they're not a nice job. And then I see Steve's car sales are selling off a lot of the Mark III Mondeo automatics. They're nearly all gone. Quite a few of them are gone already. They're all sort of like quite high. They're all sort of like 150,000 miles, maybe a bit more. But they've all done their time. They're all being replaced by Ford Focuses. So yeah, they can't keep them forever. Mind you, I will say they haven't done bad. The only thing about them Mark III Mondeos is the 2 litre petrol Duratex is if they run low on water and you overheat them, there's a high chance you're going to either blow the head gasket or crack the head. That was the biggest problem with them. And it's an awful lot of work just to do a head gasket in one of them things. So we generally just change the engine. Even if if you've got like a load of compression in your cooling system, it's like it's not worth doing the head gas, not even worth attempting it. Just change the bloody engine, and even changing an engine in one of them is quite a big job. But it's the quickest way out of it. But yeah, they're all being sold off. Well, most of them. We're keeping some of them, but most of them are going now. They're being replaced for newer cars. And the Focuses look a bit more modern. I mean, they're cheap rentals anyway. And even the Focuses, they're still quite old compared to today's standards, but they're cheap rentals, and they're all automatics because the Americans are the people that hire these cars out. You'll be very, very lucky if a British person hires one of these. They're all Americans, and then they keep sort of like more Americans keep coming into RF Oakenbury and Molesworth and all that, so they just keep renting them. And they're doing well. There's a lot of them rented out. If you can afford it, you should keep a basic old diesel for when the balloon goes up. Run it on cooking oil, for fuck's sake. Joe, I never used to like diesels until I actually got one myself. I was always sort of like into petrol cars. But when I got my diesel van, it was a nice engine. That was a 2148cc Mercedes lump, and that was a good engine. That engine itself never let me down, apart from leaking injectors and stuff like that. But no, I don't see much wrong with diesels nowadays. They're so clean. They've really sort of like got the emissions like brought down to really low levels compared to what they used to be. Mr. Stephen Parry from Port Sunlight in the Wirral, hello. Nice to see you live. How are your son today? And in Ford Mondeo Mark IV, which is fast work to change the cabin filter, please. Well, you missed Tyler. He's been in and out again, so he's out. But in a Ford Mondeo, which is fast work to change the cabin filter. Yeah, well, you've got to take the glove box out. Yeah, the glove box has got to come out, and then it's on the side of the heater at the back. There's 2 screws. One's at the top, and it's a bit hard to get to. And then you've got to slide it out past your. I think you've got to pull the fuse box out as well. Not the fuse box, the body control module. You've got to pull that out of its brackets and let that hang down before you can get it out, and it slides out. Yeah, they're a little bit of a pain to get out. But once the glove box and the fuse box is out of the way, you know, you can get to it all right. The Mark V Mondeo is actually a lot easier. Citroen wanted £150 to diagnose an AdBlue warning light, so I paid £80 to update my scanner and fix it myself. Was quoted possible £1,500. Yeah, this is it. This is the problem. If you don't know, you can get really badly ripped off. Garages don't care, just out to make as much money as they can. Whereas if you take the time, if you sit down and do a little bit of research into your problem, it's all on it. Well, a lot of it's on the internet now, so you can research stuff and you can actually think, oh, bloody hell, I can do that myself. And then you do it and you think, well, I've just saved myself a shitload of money. Steeler wanted £600 plus fitting. Flipping heck. That's a lot. Bloody Nora. Kyle Cars, hello. Mondeo Mark IV rear door doesn't unlock sometimes. Yeah, I'd say that's the chances are it's the latch unit itself, because the solenoid's all built into the latch. The only other thing I would check would be the plug connector that goes from the door to the B-pillar. Maybe pull the boot back and check the wire. There's no broken wires in there. And if it's not a broken wire between the door and the B-post, then chances are it'll be the latch unit. It's normally the child locks that are built into them as well that play up and stop working. I have a Volvo V50 with a body control module failure, and I have managed to repair it, and I have equipment to repair BCMs. Oh. Well, that's all very technical. So I'm going to move on. There's too many electronics in them things. David, hello. How much for a Mondeo 2007 clutch cost? Bloody hell. If you're looking at clutch and flywheel, probably, because if you want to change the flywheel as well, you're going to be looking at £1,500, probably minimum. Unless you get someone to do it cheaper. Brigman, hello. My Focus TDCi is on 150,000 and still going strong. And it's only had alternator brakes and injector seals. Love the Philippines videos. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you do get cars that will do. If you look after them, I don't know. Well, some you do look after, they still go wrong on you. But generally, if you look after your car and you drive it sensibly, it will do you well. A lot of these cars nowadays, they do a lot of mileage before they do actually start taking a dump on you. And you would expect, what going by today's standards, to buy a car and it to do at least 150,000 miles without anything major going wrong with it. That never used to be in the past. You know, cars of old, they needed a lot more maintenance. If I go back to points and condenser, they constantly needed maintenance, adjustment, distributor timing, tappets needed setting up, you know, stuff like that. Spark plugs needed changing a lot more often. Bloody hell, spark plugs these days, what are they, 40, 50,000 miles before you change them? The only problem is when you go to change them, they're still seized in the bloody cylinder head. Philippines, yeah, got my worms mixed up. Blame the sunshine and too many sherbets today. Don't think I will last an hour on Big Clive before I fall asleep. Don't worry, Mondo. I used to be able to stay up half the night. Now most nights I'm in bed by 9 o'clock. It's shocking. I had a visit in Brunei, oh, for a few days and saw a Vauxhall Omega V6 estate and a Rover 45. Many countries keep these old cars running, but in the UK we seem to give up too easily. Yeah, that's because there's too many new cars over here. You get a lot of these countries that there isn't like a lot of bloody brand new cars being sold. So what's over there, they kind of like keep running. I guess a good example is Cuba, isn't it? Where they got all them old 1950s or 1960s American cars that were over there. They put larder engines in them and all that, but they keep them going because there isn't anything else really, is there? But it is nice to keep these old cars because once they're all gone, even if you didn't like them, it's still nice to see them around sometimes. And once they're gone, aren't they? That's why we go to car shows, so we can see what used to be on the road, so to speak. Carl, happy weekend. On my Mondeo, there came a warning that says check gearbox and it's shift only up to third gear, power shift, only 120,000 kilometers, 2012 model. Yeah, hard to say with that one. They do get problems if the oil hasn't been changed at the right times, so it might be worth giving it an oil change and also getting it scanned to see what codes there are, probably clearing all the codes and then giving it a drive. But it'd be worth changing the oil anyway, because I know them cars, they do play up if the oil isn't changed. It's pretty critical on them. Love 500 sold his new Ford Puma back to dealer for a profit, done less than 1,000 miles, so they could fulfill customer orders. Well, that's one way of doing it. I bought a 4-year-old Mazda 6 2.2 in 2011, 12.5k. Now similar spec Mazda 6 is around 16k plus. Yeah, exactly. It kind of pisses you off if you want to buy yourself a newer car. You look at the price, you're paying more than what you paid bloody years ago, and you think, what's the point? I might as well just keep my old car. How long are we running for? Just over an hour now. I'm not going to keep it going too long tonight. So I'm sticking with my Mark II Focus. Well, that's it. You may as well save your money. Keep your car running and save your money. Nathan, going to run the 06 Ford Focus Estate 1.8 TDCi until it completely dies. Excellent. Need both front control arm bushes replaced for next MOT, but getting quoted stupid prices. Would suit myself, but live on a hill. Well, that's a bit of a problem, isn't it? I'm sure there's mobile mechanics that will come and do it for you for the reasonable price. Suffering from intermittent interference, you will hear it back on replay. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the little red light is on permanently at the minute, so I'm assuming it's should be right at the minute. But I'm not using the best of computers. This really is a piece of crap that I'm using. So I've done rear brakes today on friend's Captiva. Both wear indicators were bent and broken. I asked if she heard squeaking noise. She said she did some time ago from the rear, but then it stopped. There was barely any material on the pads left. Yeah. Yes, I've seen it all before. Say no more. Gary, and in all your years working in cars, what make was the least problematic and what one was the most? Bloody hell. I don't think there was a car that was the least problematic. Well, I think really the Mark IV Mondeo was probably the car that gave the least amount of trouble. It had its problems, but it did give the least amount of trouble. And what car gave the most amount of trouble? Blimey, there were loads. I can go to Metros. Mark I Mondeos weren't great. Maestros, Montegos, Rover 200s with an S-Series engine. They were crap. They were forever going bloody wrong. Oh, blimey. There's loads. It was a lot of British Leyland cars that went wrong the most, to be honest with you. I'd probably say it was the Rover. It was the early Rover 200s, 216s. 213s weren't too bad. It was the 216s with the S-Series engine. They were nothing but trouble. RS Outdoors, hello. Went out and bought a Volvo V70 D5 Auto and done loads of work on it myself. 2K for Minter. Issue is, if you can do all the mechanical work yourself, then keeping a car on road is actually pretty cheap. Well, yeah, if you can do all the labour yourself, you're obviously going to save yourself a fortune. You're still going to have to pay for the parts, which ain't going to be cheap, but labour is a big factor in it all. If you have to rely on a garage or even a mate, you might have a good mate who can do things cheap for you, but you still got to pay him. So there again, a lot of people just run their cars around and don't care. they'll just wait till the MOT comes around and then do whatever's necessary to get it through the MOT, which could just be the basic minimum, and there still could be a heck of a lot wrong with it that's very soon going to go wrong even more. But what do? If you don't want to spend the money on it, you get it through the MOT and you keep it running. Because a lot of people are on a budget, especially nowadays. You know, there's so many other things that are costing. It's not just the price of fuel and tax and insurance and, you know, running a car. It's everything else in life. It's all your housing costs, your rent, your mortgage, your utility bills, your council tax, your food bills. Bloody hell, you've only got to go into Tesco's. You come out flipping lighter than you went in, that's for sure. Every time I come out of a bloody supermarket, I feel like I've been ripped off. So you can understand why people are cutting corners. Just doing the bare minimum what they have to do to get by. If they can keep their car running for as little as possible, then that's what a lot of people do. Stephen, back in 1979, I wish we were, 4-star was 68 pence a gallon. Then it kicked off with the Ayatollah in Iran, and it went over £1 a gallon. It has not gone down since. No, it never will come down. It'll always go up, then it may come down a couple of pence and it'll go up again. Who is that? Ayatollah Khomeini. You know, Iran was quite a nice country until he got in. Then he turned it into like a, I don't know, a more of a religious country, didn't he? They went all sort of like from what was becoming a democracy into back to their, I don't know how, was back to a Muslim country, how they wanted it to run. So then all the headscarves come on, all that sort of thing, didn't it? Yeah, you go back in history, you look at Iran in the 1970s, and you won't believe it. Eco something alike, like the new Transit, stupid idea. Your microphone is giving a buzzing sound every so often. Sounds like external interference. Actually, I'm going to turn this little light off in case that's interfering with it. But there isn't nothing I know of in here that can interfere with it. So apart from that light. So I'll switch one light off. It might just be this computer is a bit of a crap computer. I think next week I'll put the better computer on it. It's just that I don't want to bring the other computer in here because it's a pain in the ass swapping it round. AAA Plus, hello. What about the Jeepney? And see many an engine stripped down in the street. I didn't see the engines in the Jeepneys. I saw plenty of Jeepneys. There's a lot of them out there, but I didn't actually see an engine in one of them. I didn't even get a ride on a Jeepney, and that's something I need to have done. So the next time round, I'm going to jump on a Jeepney. Preferably, if I got someone holding the camera, I would jump on the back of the Jeepney on the bars and hang off the back. Then I can do my way. Like to live dangerously, you know. You only live once. Mondeo, I remember going in a petrol station and it was like a motor factors in the 80s, and belts, radiator caps and hoses, spark plugs and pointer condensers, the good old days, and emergency fuel caps. Yeah. Yeah, we used to get all that. You don't see that anymore over here. You go to some of these other countries, you do. You'll go into like an electrical shop. You'll see it won't be all hidden behind the counter in nice racking shelves. It'll be all hanging from the ceiling, wires and everything you can think of. It's just like amazing to look around some of these places. Jeff, is that a piece of wood behind you? It is. That I believe it was 2020 when we had these really strong winds. The fence blew down, and I think about 2 years later I actually managed to get it fixed. I had to get new posts put up, but they were hard to get out of the ground because they had a big piece of concrete on them. You had to dig them out, and they were so deep in the bloody ground that we changed the posts, put the fence panels back on. But that wood there, that ran along the top edge, so I nailed it into the top edge. But obviously I've got too much wood, so it's been sitting there for months now. I ought to get rid of it. It's electrical interference your mic is picking up. Could be the fridge switching on and off. Nah, no, because I've had this mic on other live streams and it's been okay. I can only think it's the bloody problem with the actual computer. I don't know. Let me go to my settings again. I can't. Trouble is, I can't hear it myself. I can see that the audio bars are moving, but it's I can't actually hear it myself. I think next week I will change this computer and I will use a better computer, because this computer really is a piece of shit and it's about to take a dump any time. So it's living on borrowed time as it is. No dog tonight. Yes, Monica is back from the Czech Republic and she has Hope. That's the name of her dog, Hope. Hope is back with her. It ain't that light, still interference after isolation. That's all the lights off now. So now we're in the dark. So if there's still interference now, it's the computer. I'm telling you, it's the bloody computer. Still buzzing after switching the lamp off. It's not a computer problem. I bet it is. Is Tyler missing Nicole? Are you missing Nicole? He says no, but she's pretty annoying, but he loves her really. She's a lot of fun.
Tyler, why did you drive me to school? Why did you go to school?
When you get your motorbike, she can sit side saddle when you can drive her to school in the mornings.
No. I'll never drive her to school.
Yes, you will.
Her school is literally about a 3-minute walk. You go up the path, yeah, the front path in the car, yeah, and turn right and walk about maybe 20 steps and cross the road and then it's there.
Yeah, but she'll still want riding to school. It's not the fact. It's not the fact of you riding her to school. It's so her friends can see you drop her off.
I don't want to be seen by her friends.
Yeah, but her friends would be all like, "Oh wow, Nicole's being dropped off by Tyler. That's so cool."
Yeah, but
so you've got to think how she's going to be so happy to be dropped off. Yeah.
Well, I'm not her little servant, and also she's just using to flex me. I'm not like what?
Yeah, you'll get her to school, make her happy. Anyway, well, I'm going to get on because I'm going to finish this live stream in a minute. I'm nearly at the end of it actually. What are you doing?
I'm going to the car.
Oh, okay. It'll be another hot day tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can just basically I finish my exams on the 16th, which is this Friday. So then I'm off school then. Because this Monday that's coming, I don't have to go to English anymore. The only lesson I'll need to go to is maths and science.
Okay.
But I'm doing my physics and chemistry or paper 2 this week.
Oh,
Next week anyway. Nearly done, finally.
yeah, well, his exams are nearly over, so he's about to finish school soon. Oh, Kay, hello. Good evening, all. Good evening, Alan. Yep, you're right. Cars are expensive. Convenience. My vaporizer valve went on my Mondeo, which caused DPF to be blocked. Yep. Had it many times. The worst bit is if you want to save the old vaporizer, they're a pain to get out the exhaust because they're so tight. I normally just snap them off, and rather than trying to get a spanner on them, I use a socket and a bar. In the dark, even worse. Oh, flipping heck, I'm putting the lights back on. I reckon it's either the computer or the microphone itself. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll switch it to. I've changed the setting because you can change the settings on this from the different angles the voice comes at the mic sort of thing. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the live stream in a minute anyway because otherwise going to keep this one short. But next week, the next live stream I do, I will change this computer and I will use the other computer, which is a lot newer than this one, and we'll go from there. If it still does it, then it's the microphone. Chris, hello. We've had the best years of cars, Alan. I'm going to stick with my 09 plate Mondeo diesel for as long as possible. Well, that's it, yeah. I would as well. That's why I kept my van for so long. Because when I paid £8.5 grand for my van, I'm thinking to myself, it's worth stuff all now. By the time it was like ready to go to the scrapyard, I got a few £100 for it. It's like, what the hell is that going to buy me? I would have to literally go out and spend, and this is a problem with cars, especially if you've got an old car. If you hang on to your old car for many years to the point that it's knackered, it's worth nothing. You're going to get nothing for it. You'll be lucky if the scrap man pays you to take it away. Then you've got to buy another car, which is going to cost you, God only knows how much, which may not be a whole lot better than the car you just got rid of. but whoever's selling it's going to be selling it to you for a bloody pretty price. So you've got to cough up the money to buy yourself another car. And in a lot of cases, you have to buy that car because you need a car to get around on. There are probably no buses. You've probably got no mates you can do a carpool with. So you're in a vicious circle, really. And that's the trouble with cars. You remember, you know what they say? Cars are designed to keep you poor. But these days, you know, when money was plentiful, when cars were plentiful, when they were cheap, who cared? But now, you've got to, haven't you? You've got to think about everything you're doing. You've got to be strategically minded and try and work things out to your benefit. And if it means keeping an old car for as long as possible to save your money, then so be it. Satex? I can't even say that. I hear no buzzing. Well, good. Not everybody hears the buzzing. Maybe it's just all your computers are in conspiracy against each other. They're saying it's buzzing when it's not. See, Satexans can't hear no buzzing. Mondo, are you missing Balut? No, I bloody well am not. If I was a Filipino, I would probably eat balut and I wouldn't think nothing of it because I'd have grown up with it. But because I know what it is, and do you know, if you taste it, if you've ever tasted it, it's not that bad. It's just not that bad at all. It's all right. But like I keep saying, it's knowing what it is. It's a undeveloped duck fetus is what it is. And if it's not been cooked right, it's going to look a whole lot worse. Or if it's not cooked at all, you'll probably puke. But if it's cooked properly and done right, then it looks just like a hard-boiled egg, and you can eat it, and it tastes okay. So, but it's not something I'd go out and eat again. But I wanted to do it just to know what it tasted like. It buzzed just after you turned off the light last night. Not a computer problem. Oh well. I don't. There always seems to be a problem with my bloody live streams. If it's not the audio going off, it's the bloody picture going off, or there's something. I don't know. I'm working on. You know what the problem is here? Everything in this house is old technology. This computer is 2011. Yes, it's an old computer. I've got a 2017 computer in the other room, which I know is good. So I'm going to use that one next time round. But this one does take a dump on me quite often. So I don't even know why I'm using it. But I'm just like, I won't fling this one out because like the cars, I'm trying to flog everything, trying to get every last little bit out of life out of it before I get rid of it. Corrigine. I think cars are cheap. I bought a Toyota Avensis for £1,400, 2 litre diesel, 2010, going like a rocket. Needed an injector, got one for 50 sorted. Yeah, well, everyone's got their perspective. The Toyota Avensis, I guess, you know, well, Toyotas, I wouldn't think it's the nicest of cars, but I mean, Toyotas are pretty reliable. You look at all the Toyota pickup trucks, they call them indestructible. So if you want something that's going to keep going, then a lot of people would be looking at Toyota, I guess. Balut is fantastic with chips and gravy. Yeah, I bet it is. Nice job tomorrow checking all your socket wiring connections. Their sockets are fine. The house is fine. There's nothing wrong there. And I'm telling you, it's either the mic or the bloody this bloody computer. Good night, Alan. Have a good week. You too, Mondo. Have a good one. Get your shorts on for tomorrow. It's going to be just as warm. That is exactly what is going on. She is being dropped off by an Englishman. Yes, exactly. She wants her friends to see her being dropped off by her foreign friend, because her friends would be looking at her, and she'll feel good about herself, because look who's dropping me off. I'm getting dropped off by a foreigner on his flashy motorbike. Yes, that's how, you know, that's, you've got to remember, that's how kids think. They want their friends to see them. When, you know, when we were kids, we'd want to be, if we were dropped off in a flashy car or something like that, at a party or something, we'd want all our friends to see us, wouldn't we? Getting out of that car or something. We'd feel important, you know? That's what she wants. So I think that's what he needs to do. Make her happy. Next week, someone will tell you there is a buzz when there is none. Yeah. Just to keep you wound up, I bet. I don't hear no buzzing. Well, you know what, just for a few who've mentioned it, I will play this back. I don't like to watch myself. Once it's done, it's done. But I will play this back, and I'll see if I can hear some buzzing in it, just to please you all. Okay. Okay. No buzz. Cars are nothing. A yacht is a hole in the sea into which you pour money. Yeah. My money is on the fridge freezer switching off due to the hot weather of an immersion heater switching. Well, it's not the fridge has been pretty quiet. Normally I can hear it at night time. Mind you, that fridge freezer, it's a Samsung. I bought that in 2009 and it's still going. So it's done pretty well. Toyotas are meant to be the most reliable. Yeah, but the trade-off is they're not exciting, are they? They've got a lot of grey plastic. They're boring, but they're reliable. So you've got to weigh it up what you want. Thrills or reliability. You've got a point, Alan, where you rebuild an old car, thus turning it into a new car. Well, you can rebuild an old one or just keep it going. I think it costs a lot of money to rebuild them unless you're doing a proper restoration on it. But that's what a lot of people are doing now. They're keeping their old cars because it's just not economical to buy a new car. It's just too costly. So what they've got, because they've got so many other bills to pay out, why not just keep their old car, maintain it as best as possible, and just keep it running? That way you're probably saving money. And even when you come to sell it, as things are, you're still going to get a fair old price for it. Not that it's going to make a lot of difference, because the new car you're going to have to buy is going to cost a whole lot more anyway. But there again, you can just keep your old car indefinitely and see how long it goes for until it completely takes a shit on you. Then you have to do something about it. Take care, everyone, and have a good wonderful weekend. You too, fellow detractor. Thanks for joining the live stream. It's been a pleasure. Finn, you're the last person on the live stream. Good night. See you, everybody. Thank you for joining the live stream, and I'll see you all in the next one. Adios, people.